Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 516 for March 16th, 2022. And hey, how's it going, everybody? I am Josh, KI6NAZ. Thanks so much for coming out to the Ham Radio Crash Course, home of Ham Nation. I want to give a quick shout out right up front for everybody that's watching. In the link in the description, there's a hashtag #SaveCallum. My friend DX Commander could use your help. He has sadly lost his original YouTube channel. He's built a new one, growing in record numbers. And all the people that don't know that happened to Callum, go check out the link in the description and you can find his new channel. So thank you, Callum. Appreciate what you're doing out there. The Antenna Makers channel, so go check it out. All right, let's say hi to the hosts. And we got a full house right before St. Patrick's Day, and everybody's in green. I'm wearing blue because behind me is a green screen. I will mention really quick, I do have a green beer that I poured out. I don't normally drink beer during the show, but I have a green one, so I'm drinking green in spirit. But anyway, all right, let's go back here. Hi, Joe. How's it going, buddy?
Well, I'm doing good, and it was great to see you in Orlando. Got to see you in person, and I've been doing lots of traveling. I was in Orlando, and then a couple days after that, I went to Yuma, and then came home for a couple days and spoke in Perry, Iowa, and then immediately flew back to Orlando with the family to do Disney and see my brother in Florida. So I'm finally back for a while and looking forward to the upcoming OzarkCon in Branson, Missouri, which is a great QRP convention.
That's awesome. It was wonderful to see you at Hamvention there, or sorry, Hamcation. But yes, apologize. That was, I think, on the last day that we bumped into each other, and that's usually my day to run around like crazy and get video and B-roll of all the stuff I forgot to do the first day. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Gordo, how are you doing?
I am fine, Josh, and I'm happy to report that you're going to be one of our star video fellas in the new technician class book that'll be out in time for Dayton Hamvention. And thank you for sharing all these great videos with future ham readers. Over.
Oh, thank you so much, Gordo. I appreciate that. It really means a lot. Dawn, back in action here. How's your voice doing? How are you feeling, buddy?
I'm about 98% back, but yeah, it was, 43 years in radio, and I never lost my voice bad enough to miss a shift. And I was completely mute for a whole week. I lost an entire week of work. So that was more painful, I think, than the sore throat and everything. But I'm back. I'm still a little hoarse and a little raspy. So, but I'm getting there. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. St. Patrick's Day is kind of an anniversary for my wife and I. That is the day in 1984 that we actually met for the first time face to face. So we're going to go out and do something for St. Patrick's Day together tomorrow. And I was torn tonight as to whether to wear the Ireland hat, the cap here, which I dearly love, or the really nice merino wool. So I may just go back and forth.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like a wardrobe change. Yeah, it's like a makeshift wardrobe change.
It'll be a lot like a Reba McEntire concert if you've ever been to one of those. Have you ever been? He does like 10 wardrobe changes. It's crazy. Anyway, that's not why you called. We've got Amateur Radio Newsline. We got a little bit of Dr. T, and we're going to tell you about the Young Ham of the Year. Nominations are now open since we're going to be talking about youth on the air tonight as well. So just a reminder that Young Ham of the Year nominations are open and more info is forthcoming. Right, Josh?
That's right. And good friend of the show, Neil Rapp, is here as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be talking to Neil. Amanda, how's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastically. And someone in chat asked, what are you wearing on your head? This is a St. Patrick's Day cute little princess crown because green is not in my palette. Sorry, Don. It's his favorite color, but not mine. And
it is mine.
Dawn, I am so glad that other Dawn got a vacation for a week. That girl must have had a blessing coming to her.
Listen, she was sick as well, and she still is. We were both kind of.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, it's. I don't know what this is that's been going. Look, I got them both on now.
I was going to say, I appreciate the hack you just did there. You figured it all out. Just put a hat on a hat.
Listen, I want to do something to really. If Bob Heil is watching, I'm going to do something to really make him mad. And I'm just going to put them both on sideways. He hates this. absolutely hates this. So yeah, hi Bob, nice, like my hat. Yeah, no,
You're in so much trouble.
I know. She's doing better, and I'm doing better, and
Oh, good.
everybody's trying to do better. So anyway, there you go.
All right, I think the key here was do better. So we got some great interviews coming up here. We've got Jim Brown W0RLD. Stick around for that, and of course we just mentioned Neil, who needs no introduction because of Educator of the Year. He's going to tell us about Yoda. So stay tuned. All right, let's go to Gordo. Gordo, take it away. You have something that contains fur.
Yes, something fur. First of all, I want to say the new edition of the ham radio book and repeater map is available from Artsci. You can get it at your local ham radio stores, and it is terrific because it allows you to look at a new state that you might be traveling through in an RV and say, gosh, where are the repeaters? And bingo, you look in the map book and it shows the state and the interstates and the repeaters. So something good to have for those of you that are in an RV. Now, for those of you in an RV, especially those of you with your furry friends, whether it's dog, cat, gerbil, skunk, you name it, whatever your favorite furry friend is, tonight is for them on the eve of St. Patrick's Day, because there's nothing worse than losing a furry friend and just breaking your butteroony looking for him in your big RV, realizing he probably got out at the campground and no, he's been there the whole time. If only there was a way that you could tag him with something so you could find him. Well, Spence Porter, a licensed ham out of Orange, California, has been tracking all sorts of wildlife for a long time. So here we go, and we're going to talk about what goes on your favorite pal, your animal. That's the little ticker tracker that you see to the left, as well as the direction finding unit, which is in the center of the screen. And you see there's all sorts of varieties that ComSpec. They're the same ones that made the TE64. Remember those in the old days of radio for CTCSS? Well, ComSpec now is continues to be the manufacturer of tone products as well as the continuous pet tracker tags. Not the one on the bottom. That's for banks and money notes and stuff. Not the next one up. That's a 2-watter that goes quite a distance. The bank one goes about 3 watts, but requires a bigger battery. The third one up from the bottom could be a wild animal tracker on an adjacent frequency to what we're going to be talking about, and that's the one on the top, and that is the little kitty or dog or gerbil or whatever you have tracker. The trackers are attached to a collar, and as a licensed ham radio operator, when you place your order, tell them your call sign, and they'll attach the collar in such a way that it picks up a little longer antenna on the ham bands. And for those of you that have an aged mom and dad or grandmom and dad, not only you can tag the little dog that they have as their companion, but also tag them as well, because these things are so small, you just wear them on your wrist, and you can always track as to where they are. So with your cute little pups, or your cute little cats or whatever, or maybe even track a rocket or track one of your drones. There's all sorts of things that you can track with these little trackers. So it's not necessarily just for animals, but you think, oh my gosh, that thing's probably heavy. No, it's less than an ounce. They don't even know they've got it on there, and they won't object. I track radios. If I put them out at a local county fair, and I want to make sure that no one makes off with a radio, such as those at night that are working some of the events and they stay locally, I'd be able to track that radio down if it's within about a quarter mile away. I just bury it on the inside. This is the little high power version with a longer antenna. So what is a tracker? Well, the tracker works on a 222 megahertz band for licensed ham radio operators, or they have other frequencies for rest homes and so on, and for banks and things like that on alternate frequencies. And the tracker consists of the tag, which you just saw, as well as a proprietary ComSpec very sensitive receiver. Now, this receiver has a sensitivity of minus 150 dBm. I mean, it's quite a receiver. And with IF filtering at 10.7, it goes into an 8-pole narrowband FM crystal filter, 455 8-pole ceramic filter. The front end has a MOSFET with 6 helical resonators, so you're not going to get interference out of band. The receiver is CW. It is tight. Frequency is PLL controlled by a half a part per million TCXO. Comes with a built-in attenuator, and it will sniff out signals. Now, where are these signals? They're on the 222 megahertz ham band interstitial to the repeater allocations as recommended by the league and others. So it's not going to interfere. There is the basic transmitter housing, and it's attached to the collar. And remember, if you're a ham operator, be sure and tell them that you want to attach to the collar that has the antenna as part of the thread in the collar. You're going to be looking at the transmitter output here. And here I have many pets and multiple trackers going on. And you'll see them between 222 and 223 on the scope, but you won't be able to hear them on FM at all. Even with a sideband rig, they're difficult to pick up unless you really have good tuning and you know exactly where in between the ham channels to tune. The transmitters put out less than a milliwatt. And less than the milliwatt means we're in the microwatt area. But on this particular band, microwatts go quite a distance. Do not panic. These are not going to interfere. The tracker I have actually has my call sign embedded in it, so it sounds off every 10 minutes. The newer trackers pull right out easily for changing channels. And again, these put out less than a milliwatt of power, but they're designed in such a way with such a short pulse that they're able to get a signal out onto the 222 megahertz band. The pulse is about 3 milliseconds long, and it's just a little tick sound. And that's how the unit picks up the tracker that's installed in it. And each tracker has its number, so you know exactly which frequency that you are tuned into. And again, the small little PLL design transmitters are available on any one of the 23 ham channels if you're a ham radio operator. And those ham channels are 10 kilohertz away from the regular 222 megahertz band. And again, the pulse of less than 1 milliwatt output can be heard for about 2 blocks in the neighborhood or on the line of sight basis a little further away. Comes with a nice little 3-volt battery, and the battery is a 2032, so it's no big deal. The battery just pushes in and you are on the air with your pet. The top of the battery makes the final connection, and it's got a little pickup there. And kids, they love RDFing. So as third-party traffic, although you're working on microwatts of power, much like the 433 megahertz weather stations that share our 70 centimeter band, we never know it. Even us weak signal operators and moon bouncers on the 432 band, we never hear them. Yet on the 222 band, they go unnoticed as well to fellow hams. So you're not going to have a problem of some ham going, gee, I'm hearing a ticking sound. It's just not going to happen at less than a milliwatt. But the capabilities of using this equipment to find your favorite pet, it's enormous. For you RVers, once you put in the little 9-volt battery in the track receiver, and that receiver works off of an external or its own built-in 9-volt battery. It has a jack for a built-in headphone, and it has the Moxon antenna that comes with it and the handle. Now, if you don't want to do the Moxon antenna, you can do the supplied 222 megahertz rubber duck and begin to track down your pet. Well, we had lost a pet for several days, and Susie was photographing it, and guess where we found it? In a neighbor's shed. See that shed? It's a plastic shed. That's where we found him, locked in accidentally by the neighbor that had left it open, putting in a lawnmower, closed the doors up tight, and Mr. Q, our cat, was there, and he couldn't get out. He's not a meower, and he would have obviously died after a few more days. We were able to track him down quite nicely with this tracker about 5 houses away. Each of the trackers come with a night lit, I should say, S-meter, and up to 70 dB of attenuation as you get real close and you begin to home in on your missing dog or cat or gerbil or whomever that you're looking for. So on no attenuation, I've been able to use this equipment out to about a half a mile on a line of sight basis while hiking with someone else with a tracker, line of sight on a distant mountain. I could hear them clearly. In the city or in the local community, you're going to get about 2 or 3 blocks, and you drive around if your pet really went scampering. 50 channels are available on some of the gear. You can also get a 100-channel receiver as well. The 100-channel works on the 218 and 219 frequencies, also some other ones as well. So you never know what you're going to pick up just by tuning around. And these trackers are even more sensitive than the wonderful Kenwood gear that is multi-mode. In fact, the Kenwood is a wonderful radio. We had it in the sideband mode and the CW mode, and our pet would get maybe 300 or 400 yards away and we'd lose them. Yet on the ComSpec receiver with the FET front end and tuned specifically to the 222 band, we were able to pick up the pet easily at almost full tilt on the S-meter. We do a lot of work with our community emergency response team and a local health agency that has some of their folks with the trackers, not on ham channels, but alternate channels that ComSpec offers. And we were able to really demonstrate how we can find everything. And out at Quartz Fest, we did a test. And one person, Mike Freeze, had 2 animals in his vehicle parked about a half mile away. And when we got in just the right position with a Moxon antenna, we were picking them up over the desert a half a mile. And we would swing the beam, and you could easily tell which way the Moxon antenna was pointing. And by golly, right there where we first started our track, a long walk to get to where his 2 animals were safe and sound inside his vehicle. We've also used the tracker in a lot of areas where there's a lot of metal, and just at the 222 band, a lot of metal reflects the signal. So it takes a little bit of sniffing to be able to find the lost animal. This was a demonstration, and there was Marilyn's dog that we were able to find in no time at all. So if you've got a favorite pal that sometimes jumps out of your RV, and, well, did he jump out or is he really hiding in the RV like cats will do? Then you really need the trackers. And the trackers, here's what they sound like. And it's plenty short enough pulse to be able to go quite a distance. So I encourage all of you that if you've got your favorite animal, if a large dog or a horse or anything else, you need the larger trackers, you'll be able to find them. The price is about $400 if you add in the handles that they send you for the Adcock antenna that comes with it for the $400 price. They also send you a carrying case for it that you can wear on your belt. They send you a whole bunch of batteries. And again, the battery is not a stranger. It's a 2032. And I know what you're going to say. How long does one of these batteries last?
That's what I was going to say.
Is about 30 days. So 30 days is the estimated time. And you want to change it at about 20 days, because if you forget on day 31 and you turn on the receiver and there's nothing, I mean, your heart just goes, oh my God, he went off with a gardener to another part. No, do not panic. You just let your battery expire. So make sure and don't let your battery expire or else it's going to scare the daylights out of you. So trackers are good. And let me show you that we do them right here. Look who wandered in here. Hold on. Well, he says he's not going to be picked up, but it's our little cat with a big tracker on him, and we've found him several times, and we take him all over the place. So $400 is a lot of money, but let me tell you, from a fellow ham spin sporter who runs ComSpec out of Orange, California, they know what it's like to have an animal, and $400 is what you'd pay to take an animal for a physical at the vet. Get the tracker, because they really work. All right, Amanda, I'll go back to you, and we've got our little tracker here, and see what questions you may have from our valued viewers.
Perfect. I think Josh picked up some and I picked up some. So the first question was, can this be used in a fox hunt situation?
Yes.
Okay.
We use them. They have the little yellow ones that we use, some of the older ones, and we use them for fox hunts. And with the antenna supplied by ComSpec, they are great for fox hunting because it's a real tight pattern on a Moxon antenna. They're amazing antennas. And we give the units out, about 6 units out to 6 kids. And we've spaced the little transmitters out in trees and on the ground and you name it. And we see who is the first one to bring it back, and the second and the third. It's fun.
Awesome. Josh, what did you pick up out of chat?
Yeah, well, I have personal questions right now myself.
Okay.
So if you're in an open spot, about how far out? I know you said half mile, but is there a kind of usable maximum range?
Yes, with a power of about 1 milliwatt with a Maxon antenna aimed at the transmitter, the ones without the longer tail, which is the antenna, the transmitters that have tied into the cat collar, and the cat collar has a little tiny ribbon of conductive surface on it, thread actually. So the cat collar picks up as part of the antenna system, and we've got 1 mile registered down at the beach. I'm sure seawater was maybe reflecting the signal, but at 1 mile away, we were still hearing the transmitter.
How about, for everybody that's asking, where's the link? The link is actually in the description. I added it. You said it was ComSpec, is that right?
Yes, com-spec, S-P-E-C ComSpec I got to take a look and see if it's org or com. It is comspec.com.
Yeah, I added it to the description as well. We did get a comment from Matt Quince, who's one of our moderators and admins on the Ham Radio Crash Course. He said, yep, rockets. I have friends that use them too. So people are out there. I mean, that sounds like a really good use case, is a rocket body when you're picking it back up after it's been launched. You know, depending on how high it goes and how much wind, that can take those things all over the place.
Yeah, that's right. Now, again, these do not work on GPS or on cell phones or anything like that. But see how small that little device is? It's quite lightweight. There's the actual transmitter right here. And again, the ham version, I just dropped it, but I can find it. The ham version doesn't do much more than 1 milliwatt on purpose to keep it in that same range as what you have as your weather station that's on ham band 433 megahertz, but it's below the threshold that you would have to necessarily get a ham license. But ComSpec really wants us only on the 222 band to go to hams with a call sign. So, you order them direct. They're not sold through dealers. Just call com-spec. Tell them you saw the Gordo and Amanda and Josh and all of our guests show, and that you're a licensed ham. And they then will probably add the conductive collar that adds to the potential range.
So I've got one last question. This is a personal question. They frown upon putting collars on children. So do they have a version that is a watch band or something that has the antenna built into a watch band so that you're saying just put the collar on the kid? Okay. I could get down with that. Okay, I may need this for my youngest. He's a bit of a he gets out there, so very good, Gordo. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Gordo. And I do the same thing with my incident management team, kind of the same thing with Alzheimer's patients in town. They have a band that they have to wear. And so we go and you can't call it a fox hunt. You got to call it a senior hunt, but we do the same thing, and obviously not the same equipment, but really, really similar. So I'm pretty, even the ticks were the same when I was listening to it. I was like,
and you're absolutely right. But for RVers that have a big motorhome and a small cat or a small whatever, many times you'll stop and get out and whatever, and you go, oh my God, is he here or did he get out? No big deal. You just turn on the receiver, just like our cat excavated. And that's on close, so I know that kid is here in the house.
Thank you, Gordo. You're awesome as always. Thanks for the new product, and I think a lot of people are pretty intrigued with this on chat. Yeah. All right. We're going to break with Gordo. No, let's go to our first guest tonight. We have Jim Brown joining us, W0RLD. How you doing tonight, Jim?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on. I'm really going to enjoy this.
Oh, fantastic. So Jim had reached out a while ago and said, I think I have something you guys might be interested in. And he actually really, really does. He has, and I'm going to let him explain it, but this is all about radio scouting and I would say survivalness a little bit, and I'm going to let you explain what you do and what kind of a group of you do. Take it away.
Okay, well, there's this wilderness scout hiking ranch in New Mexico called Philmont Scout Ranch, and some 25,000 scouts a year go into the wilderness for extended treks. And I have interviewed some of these young people if they just come off a trek, and the quotes are amazing. One young man said, when I came to Philmont, I was a teenager. Now I'm a man. And so it's a wonderful experience. It's the old Santa Fe Trail runs right through Philmont. The Tooth of Time is right behind my head here. That's a time marker for the old Santa Fe Trail. And when the wagon trade saw the Tooth of Time, it looks like a tooth, they knew they were about 2 weeks from Santa Fe. So it was a time marker. Well, across from where the scouts arrive and get prepared to go out on trek, there's a training center that is on the grounds that Waite Phillips gave to the Boy Scouts some years ago, about 147,000 acres.
Wow.
And that's the Tooth of Time there. And Waite his two brothers discovered oil on a Delaware Indian woman's land allotment near Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And those two brothers struck oil and formed an oil company you would know as Phillips 66. Mm-hmm. And Waite was their brother. He worked as an accountant for them for a while and formed his own oil company and made some money. And it was able to donate 147,000 acres of this this ranch to the Boy Scouts. So the training center is for adults. the youth go out on trek and have these marvelous experiences in the mountains of New Mexico. And this is why these pictures are why I love scouting. It's been often said, you know, when you put on a scout, when an adult puts on a scout uniform, you're 11 years old all over again. And you know, these people, the scouters, are so much fun. Anyway, Philmont Training Center offers courses to help adult scouters be better in their job, which of course, if they're better in their scouting job, the youth have a better experience in scouting. And I've been a student at this Philmont Training Center, and later on, I was an instructor in the visual storytelling course. There's some of my colleagues in a classroom, David Carlson from Canon Camera. There's another instructor at the Philmont Training Center. So I just got back into radio after about a 60-year absence. And I got to tell you, things have changed since vacuum tube days.
You don't say.
It's a lot different now. It's like I learn something new every day. I'm just absolutely, I think getting back into radio, I became 16 years old all over again because of that. Anyway, I've got some wonderful colleagues joining me and offering a course on amateur radio and scouting. Now, why would we do that? Well, there's a radio merit badge, and scouts, by the way, that is my Indian lore merit badge to the left there. Got that in 1957. So merit badges often give scouts a lead into an eventual career. I actually used that Indian lore merit badge, and later on in my adult life wrote a 400-page book, or edited a 400-page book on Delaware Indians. And I also rewrote the photography merit badge book a few years back. And one of my colleagues, Jim Wilson, K5ND, wrote the radio merit badge book. He will be a presenter in our course. I'm joined by two great colleagues, Dale Finley, KB5NFT, which he describes himself as no finer Texan, and Demi Paulus Jr., whose call sign is K4BSA, Boy Scouts of America. And these guys are terrific. They've pulled the professor down to practicality. I tend to go off on tangents, and they provide a real sense of anchoring what we should be doing. Anyway, we're going to have a week of wonderful experiences. We've got some other people joining us too. Jim Wilson, K5ND, who is actually the author of the Radio Merit Badge book. This is about 100 pages of a great introduction to propagation and ham radio and shortwave listening and commercial radio, all kinds of stuff. And what we want to do is get adults all excited about offering the radio merit badge. We want them to be licensed, because that's a way that a licensed ham can be more enthusiastic as he or she presents radio to the kids. And so that's what we're about. We're going to do a fox hunt. We're going to have people building an antenna. There's actually, in the radio merit badge book in the back, there's actually plans for a tape measure 2-meter antenna. So we'll build an antenna, do a fox hunt. We have some other people joining us as well as presenters. John Portune, you may know because he's published many antenna design articles in QST magazine. John will present on slot antennas, the theory of slot antennas. And John is about to come out sometime this year. He will come out with a book on foil antennas that you can make with aluminum tape or copper tape that you can get in the big box stores. And what he will do is he'll present on slot antennas. Then he'll help us build a slot antenna on the windows of our classroom. And then we'll put some coax on it, tune it up, put it on the air. And a 440 slot is barely more than a foot long, the slot that is. And it would be very easy for a youth in scouting to build on a window.
That sounds really interesting. And if you don't mind me interrupting for just a second, with all the great talk about this book, is this available to anyone or only scouts looking for their radio merit badge?
You mean the radio merit badge book?
Yes.
No,
yes.
It's available through Boy Scout Supply. Any scout office would have it.
Okay.
And you can order it on the BSA website as well.
Okay,
Yes.
so not on Amazon or anything like that, but you can find it.
It may be on Amazon.
Okay.
I don't. Some merit badge books I think are on Amazon.
Okay, but
it's-
we don't
It
want
is.
people to buy the wrong one. So,
Yeah.
because this
Yeah.
one sounds really awesome. And another person had said slot antennas are a cool concept. So I'm sorry, Steve or Jim, continue on.
Oh, let's see who else. David Spolstra, who is really into satellite antennas, is going to help us learn about satellite communication, and we'll try some of that. He's K9NT. And Denny Johnson, one of my mentors after I got back in radio, K5DCC. And he has his own website and communication network called Digicom Cafe. He will present on all the apps that ham radio operators can use on a smartphone. And we're going to do some field broadcasting as well. The meadow that I made that picture of the Tooth of Time is just below Uraka Mesa, which factors into Native American lore. That location from that picture will be broadcasting one morning at Philmont. Just a little bit above that location is Uraka Mesa, where Native American lore has it that the gateway to hell is located on Uraka Mesa, and I certainly hope we don't fall in while we're there.
Well, nobody wants that.
But I gotta know: is it a Parks on the Air? Is it a Summits on the Air? The gateway to hell? Just so I know, is that?
Well, what we are also planning a summit on the air. We're going to have to go off campus, maybe 20 miles for that, but the town of Maxwell on I-25. By the way, Philmont Scout Ranch is in northeastern New Mexico, near Cimarron, New Mexico. And as you go 20 miles or so east of Cimarron, you run into I-25. And just up the road on I-25 is Maxwell, and there is an official park number there. I think it's a wilderness, a wildlife management park. But anyway, it has a park number, and we may go up there and try to do an activation.
Nice. Another question is, just so everyone knows, this doesn't happen for Boy Scouts everywhere. This is kind of what you're doing to train some trainers to get everyone involved and have some fun and learn some new radio skills so that they can pass this down. And that's what this whole location is for. And this doesn't take place. I don't want anyone to get confused at thinking that they can find this in New England as well. So go ahead and explain that.
That's correct. I mean,
Okay.
we're offering a course on radio and scouting that adult scouters will come and spend a week learning about all these experiences. And then they'll go back and work with their youth. Now, one of the faculty members, Denny Paulus Jr., he works with a venturing crew. Now, Boy Scouts are age 11 to 18. Venturing crews are 14 and up, both now co-ed. And venturing crews are high adventure. So they do whitewater rafting, they do wilderness hiking, they do wilderness canoeing. And Demi's crew, all the adults and all the youth are licensed amateur radio operators. Now, how did they do that? Well, they have an interesting concept. They marry amateur radio with wilderness survival techniques. In other words, as they go into the wilderness, now adult leaders have to be certified in wilderness medicine in order to take some youth out in the wilderness. So Demi and his colleagues and the youth put on courses on CPR, wilderness medicine certification, and they charge for these courses, and the money that they earn from these courses funds the entire trips. All these kids go out and do these wilderness experiences, and they're all funded by these courses they put on. But they're all licensed amateurs because they view having a radio with them in the wilderness is just a very good thing to have around.
Perfect. So let's get back to the who, what, when, and why. Is there an application for this, or how is the acceptance to get into this group to do the whole, I'm going to call it the Philmont experience, if you don't mind?
Well, there's kind of two experiences. By the way, youth and scouting can go on treks. That's one side of Philmont. Adults in scouting can go to Philmont Training Center and get trained in some specialty in scouting. In this case, it's a merit badge.
Okay.
So both adults and youth can go to Philmont, but you have to be either a registered scout or a registered adult in scouting to participate in this particular event. What I was hoping is that many of your listeners would know somebody in scouting that might be interested, or they might be scouters themselves and might be interested in coming out and having fun with us.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing some comments. There's a few. Matthew Smith, I went to Philmont and it was truly a life-changing experience. There was one up above who didn't actually have a name. I apologize. Basically the same statement. So, Jim, in 30 seconds, tell us anything else we need to know.
How do people find you for the
Yes.
adult scouting, the learning process that you were talking about? Because I know that there's got to be some hams that are interested in that.
Yes, I believe so.
The website that we've put together in a beginning fashion is radioscouting.website, and the curriculum is there. We'll have a link to the Philmont registration site, and the particular week the course will be offered is July 10 to 16.
And it is linked in the description for everybody that's curious, so you can find out more information on that.
And thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you, Jim. This was really amazing. And if anyone's curious, Jim, I think, is pretty much a professional photographer, and he had some amazing photos to show us. So.
I have to get. So, Jim, you took some beautiful pictures, but look at that one, guys. That is just amazing.
It is
just beautiful. What great stuff. I think I'm going to make that. I think I'm going to submit this to Microsoft to replace the Windows background for everybody's desktop. That's how good that is, Jim.
I
so
think
it
should be at least one of those entry screens when you log on in the mornings.
That's right.
That's what you should see all day long.
My head's getting big now. Fortunately, I've got earphones on to kind of hold my head into size here. Thank you very much for the compliments.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Good friend of the channel, Paul, is in the chat, and he said, I learned to make fire at Philmont. So that's awesome.
That is cool. That is cool. Well, Jim, you stay friends with us, and we love to give some updates on how this is going, and thanks for getting back involved in amateur radio. So you're going to have fun with it. All right.
Thanks. I'm going to have great fun.
Okay, what do we have coming up next? We have Icom, a word from them.
Now is the time to spice up your ham shack with Icom's new, now shipping, ID52A handheld. This radio is perfect for staying in or venturing out and working your favorite bands this holiday season. Icom's newest handheld amateur radio is a VHF-UHF dual bander with D-Star and FM dual mode functions. The ID52A is now shipping. This radio supports conventional FM communications and D-Star simplex, repeater, regional, and worldwide calls over the D-Star Internet Gateway. The ID52A is the first handheld amateur radio with a full-color 2.3-inch waterfall display and the ability to send photos over D-Star with a connected Android device. Other features include wideband receiver with guaranteed range of 144 to 148 and 440 to 450 MHz, simultaneous receive for VHF, UHF, VHF with dual DV mode. Integrated GPS GLONASS receiver including grid square location, micro SD card slot, micro USB for data transfer, programming, and charge, and it meets IPX7 waterproof specifications. For more information on this and all the great Icom radios, visit icomamerica.com/amateur.
That's the wrong one. Sorry about that, Don. Not your turn yet. Big thank you to Icom. Thank you for sponsoring the show here. Guys, we talked about it. This is the giveaway. We're going to give away an ID52 right now. But before we do that, every week or every time we're live with Ham Nation, we do a swag pack giveaway with Icom. We pick 3 winners. They go into the end of the month drawing. To enter in on the drawing, you just click Enter Now on the website for Icom America. It's linked in the description. The 3 winners for the swag giveaway are Ross V, KJ7 VVR, Michael F, W5MEF, Greg M, KI5QHM, and the winner of the ID52 is Jesse K, W9JES, obviously a novelty or custom call sign he has there. Speaking of which, I'm dropping a video tomorrow, which the ID52 is featured heavily, so make sure you do check that out. All right, well, speaking of Don, we gave him a little spoiler tag there. So, Don, how's it going? Take it away, buddy.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline, and we'll have a solar update from Dr. T. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2315, this is Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, March 16th, 2022. Our top story is about the ongoing issue of RFI that plagues us all. In the U.S., the head of the FCC recently announced a new approach to studying it.
The chairwoman of the U.S. Federal Communications Commission has pledged that the agency will take a closer look at the role receivers play in rejecting the increasing levels of RF interference. Speaking at the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Spain on March 1st, Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel said that until now, most discussions of RFI have focused predominantly on transmitters, with rules put in place regarding transmitter performance to remove RFI. She said this approach was being rethought at the FCC, adding, quote, "Wireless communications only exists when transmitters are connected to receivers. Both are vital, both matter. And going forward, policymakers need to consider both transmitting and receiving, not just the former at the expense of the latter." End quote. She said she is seeking, quote, "a more transparent and predictable radio frequency environment for all spectrum users, new and old," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Skeeter Nash, N5ASH.
The global amateur community has been rocked by the tragic death of a well-known ham in Ukraine.
A popular DXer and CW enthusiast, known for his expeditions with his fellow hams in the Ukraine, has become a silent key. DXWorld.net has reported that Ivan Lysenko, UR8GX, was killed in his home city of Kherson amid the fighting following its invasion by Russian troops. Ivan's many adventures included the expedition in the summer of 2019 to the Kalanchaksky Islands for the IOTA contest. He participated with fellow members of the Ukrainian radio club Sputnik, UR6GWZ. Ivan also served as the QSL manager for UR1G, the call sign for the club's team of operators. His death was reported on the Facebook page of DXWorld.net, prompting hams from around the world to post their condolences and remember their QSOs with him, particularly his many DX contacts. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
If you're heading to Oregon for CPAC, now is the time to register.
CPAC, the largest amateur radio convention in the American Northwest, is promising sand, surf, and radios, and all of it in person this summer. Online registration opened on the 7th of March. The convention, which is happening June 3rd through the 5th, will be at the Seaside Convention Center in Oregon. This will also serve as the location for the ARRL's Northwestern Division Convention. According to the CPAC website, the event will comply with whatever state and local regulations are in effect for COVID-19 at the time. A CPAC QSO party will be held the weekend before on May 28th to get everyone ready for the 3-day event. For registration or information, visit the website at cpac.org. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
A reminder, the nominating period for the 2022 Bill Pasternak WA6 ITF Amateur Radio Newsline Young Ham of the Year Award is now open. The nominating form can be found on our website, arnewsline.org. Hover your mouse over Awards and you'll see it in the top of the drop-down menu. We invite you to join us in Alabama at the Huntsville Hamfest on Saturday, August 20th, as we present the award live on the main stage. To learn more about the Huntsville Hamfest, please visit hamfest.org. And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Skeeter Nash, N5ASH, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Stephen Kinford, N8WB, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
Space weather this week is getting very exciting. We're now coming down from a solar storm that brought us up to G2 levels. In fact, as we take a look at the Earth-facing disk, you can see back on the 10th into the 11th, whoosh, right there, that was the big solar storm launch. It created almost a full halo in coronagraphs, and it let us know it was going to be a big solar storm. In fact, when it finally did hit, it actually hit early, and it actually passed an upstream monitor that we weren't expecting, and that is Solar Orbiter. But strangely enough, when it hit Earth, it actually had a little bit of a different configuration than what we anticipated, yet it managed to give us some gorgeous aurora, cleared down into mid-latitudes for a little while before the whole thing just kind of shut off. Meanwhile, as we take a look at the rest of the disk, there are so many new active regions and big solar storms being launched, but none of them right now are Earth-directed. We do have region 2965 that's still a large flare player, but it's only been firing off little short bursts, so it hasn't been a problem for radio comms. Now, as we switch to our far-sighted monitor, this is stereo A, and it's looking at the sun a little bit from the side. You can see there's still a lot of activity on the far-sighted part of the disk. We also have a coronal hole, that finger-like coronal hole from the south. That is going to be sending us some fast solar wind here in about 10 days. So you satellite operators in GEO, get ready. There's going to be some more spacecraft charging coming in a little bit more than a week. For more details on this week's space weather, including more details on that solar storm that just impacted Earth, come check out my channel or see me at spaceweatherwoman.com.
You know, I always mention every week that you should follow her on Twitter at Tamitha Skov, and here's exactly why. She tweeted this about 3 hours ago. Gorgeous solar storm launches are getting more common. This one might be partly Earth-directed. Early NASA model runs are indicating it could graze Earth late on March 19th or early March 20th, waiting for more coronagraph observations to refine predictions. And she's got a little video clip of the actual eruption there on Twitter. So if you don't follow Dr. T on Twitter, there's, there you go, something wrong with you. At Tamitha Skov on Twitter, and of course, spaceweatherwoman.com. You get the absolute latest as to when she produces her update videos and her reports. And a lot of the ones that we have to put out here on Ham Nation are edited for time. The one that she gave me today was a quickie, and the last one that was, I think, released over on the weekend was 13 minutes long. So you really need to follow her on Twitter and also check out her YouTube channel. That's what I can recommend to you. And of course, we certainly appreciate everything that she does for Ham Radio and for those of us here at Ham Nation, and of course, Amateur Radio Newsline, as she's our science editor. I think it's time now to turn the reins over to Amanda, where she's going to talk with Neil Rapp and tell you about Youth on the Air. And there's Mr. Rapp right there.
Yeah, I'm going to rap with Rapp here. How you doing, Neil?
I see what you did there.
So dorky. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Just why
that's all right. You fit right in, so you know.
Is that part of why I'm in with ARN people? Like I fit in. Okay, Neil,
Exactly.
let me give you a proper introduction. We have Neil Rapp here, who a couple weeks ago we had just announced that he had become the Educator of the Year, the Carol Perry Award at Hamcation. So first, I'd like to say congratulations on that. And I'm sure you were overwhelmed with that award, but no one is more deserving, I think, brother. So give us an acceptance speech.
Well, it was great to finally get the award. I mean, we had to wait an extra year, so
yeah.
It was great to have 2 award winners. Dick Filstra, PA0DFN, was this year's winner, and unfortunately, COVID got in his way too, so he had to accept by Zoom. But he was there by Zoom at least, and it was just great to finally get to see everybody down in Orlando, and great dinner and great presentation there. Got to see the award's namesake, Carol Perry, one of my colleagues, WB2MGP. And they put on a fabulous show down in Orlando and a fabulous reception, and really enjoyed it. So that was nice. I enjoyed it even though I got food poisoning Saturday morning.
Oh no,
So,
that's terrible.
yeah, it was bad, but yes, but I was able to recover enough to get back to the ceremony. Spent the next day in the hotel room, but oh well.
Well, Julie was there to hang out, or maybe she was out by the pool.
Well, Julie was supposed to go to Epcot the next day with me, and we had to cancel that again. So she said, it's fine. We'll do Epcot, Magic Kingdom, and Animal Kingdom all on the next trip. So I don't know how I got roped into 3 instead of 1, but
you're going to be busy, that's
whatever.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, here's one of the reasons you're Educator of the Year is that you've been really hardcore into the youth on the air, and you've been just the ultimate in getting this organized and running. And there's at least one other person I'd like to point out is Jocelyn, who's done a fantastic job of making sure all the youth feel welcomed. But I leave that in your reins. But tell us what Youth on the Air Camp is coming here again. So take it away.
Yeah, so this is year number 2, and we're hard at work on it. We are in the middle of our fundraising and our application process. We just finished our priority registration or application process. Sorry. So everybody who applied up through March 1st. We've gone through those. Those people have been notified in the last couple of days, and we've got a pretty good crew. We have some returning campers. We'll talk about that in a minute. We have some that are coming back to help with the camp, but then we also have a good list of new campers that will be there for the first time. We also have, once again, a couple of new countries being represented. Hopefully we can get through all the restrictions this time, because last year we couldn't do that. But we have a couple of other countries that didn't even apply last time. So hopefully we'll get that up to 3 or 4 different countries here by the end of the application period. But it's not too late to apply. Okay, we did the priority application process, but we will continue to fill up the remaining spots and put people on the wait list up through May 1st. So the sooner you get in, the sooner we can lock you in, basically. But we will cut it off at May 1st because we have to order shirts and get things printed and all those kinds of things. But I've had a couple of them come in since then in the last week. And so we will review those as we can and get word out to those people. But we don't have too many spots left. So we're really pushing for internationals. We want some people to come from other countries so we can share some of the cultural things. But the camp is coming back to the Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting in Westchester, Ohio, which now that I'm in the new QTH, it's only like an hour away. But next year it will go somewhere else. And we're actually working on a plan. Actually, my assistant director, Adam Johnson, KD9KIS, who's been here on the show with us before, he is the assistant director, and so he's in training. And he is working on a plan to put together for proposals for clubs who want to be the next host of the camp. So next year it's going to start rotating. We made a conscious decision to come back to Westchester because this is our year to train the youth. So I mentioned Adam is in training right now to be the assistant director. We have 4 young people that are now on our working group that are making decisions for the camp's future and making decisions for this year's camp. So, that's kind of the big goal this year is to get, excuse me, I dropped my earphone, is to get everybody trained and ready to go so that the youth can run the camp. That's the big key. We've had amazing. We've had a lot of youth participation in the sessions. We've tried to have the leaders be younger. And now it's time for us to pull back and to advise and oversee. But we've got a whole group of returning campers that will be helping out with the camp at some level. Now, some of them are now staff members. Some of them are going to be leading sessions, and some of them are just going to come to mentor the younger ones, the newer ones. But we do have some of the returning campers that applied coming back to step into those roles. So that's the big thing. And then next year it's we'll figure out when we're going to make that transition. But I'm going to be handing off a lot of that responsibility now that everything is set up and we know how to do everything. And so this year's training mode. So we didn't want to change locations and try to train everybody all at once. So we kind of made that decision that we wanted to come back if we could, and they were all on board with it at the museum. So that's what we're doing. And
fantastic. So
this is going to travel all the way up and down North, Central, and South America after this year. So we'll be back to tell people about the process to apply. But if your club is able to host, 25 to 50 young people in a place, and you're able to kind of help with logistics, be thinking about that, because Adam's going to be putting out the call for hosts for 2023. Nice. So that's what's going on. But the camp this year is going to be kind of similar to last year, but we also have changed up some things. We've changed kits. We've changed our ARDF plan. We've changed some of the evening activities, the fun activities. We've kind of swapped those out a little bit, so that way it's not the same camp every year. But we do have a lot of stuff that's returning, and we'll hope to improve on that a little bit. So,
and Sterling wants to say, for the youth, by the youth.
Youth by the youth. That's it.
And I saw Sterling in there. I should have made mention of him earlier in there. So that's one of the most positive things that we can hear, right? Is that this is one way that youth is actually going to take over ham radio in some aspect or another. So, could it be a joint club effort?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah.
And
Sterling's done a fabulous job. He has pulled out so many projects that I say, hey, we need this. And he jumps in and does it. And of course he and Sam, KC2LRC, was kind of the the whole reason we started this whole thing, because they went to the Austrian camp and came back and stole all the ideas. So,
Well, I mean, you got new kids. You had mentioned Joe, who's here on the show with us tonight. He's helping out with some kits for these
yep.
wonderful, smart young adults. I can't even call them kiddos anymore because that's just an insult to them. They are just young adults. They know more than I do. I think. So tell us, what are some of the things? The first thing is interesting that you bring up. It's international, so all of our youth have to learn to go to metrics, right? When we're doing measuring for antennas and things like that.
We already do that. We speak in meters. We know meters.
Yes.
You know
yes.
meters. I find it funny.
Social distancing, 2 meters, right? That's it. Yeah, being the chemistry teacher, I'm used to all of that, and I'm used to having to plug the, hey, use your metrics, so yeah, so that will be interesting. They'll already know their metrics, so
of course
it'll be great. But I'm very excited about our international participation. I'm just hoping nothing falls through because we've got El Salvador and Cuba being represented so far. So we thought we had Argentina. He had a schedule conflict and couldn't go through with it, but hopefully we will soon. We're working on Canada. We've got a couple of Canadians that we're working on, and a few others, and we may have a visitor from Croatia. We'll see. If there's room and we can make it work, we're going to have a visitor from Region 1. So it's just the coolest thing. I spend so much time working on all the details and everything, but it's totally been worth it.
Absolutely.
And we really appreciate all the support from everybody out there. Go ahead.
And I have to say, if our Young Ham of the Year winner, it's going to be going to this camp, has in the past or will in the future. That's all I know. That's kind of where this is in youth amateur radio. I mean, it's a tight group and they're all friends. And if we look in the past, who are probably some of the ones helping run this, I would say Chris, Audrey. Give me some more names here.
Bryant.
Yes, Bryant. They're still so close together. The Lee family, all of them.
Jack.
They've grown up together, done this for a really long time, done this at Hamfest, and it's so cool to see that they're going to be the leaders. And I just want everyone to know that they're going to be our ARRL officials at some point in time. So get ready for it.
True. That's the plan anyway. That is our focus is retention of our young hams. We work so hard to get young people into ham radio, and then they're kind of left on their own. So this is a retention deal. But check out youthontheair.org. We try to promote every youth activity we can possibly find. I just got an email this week of a new digital VHF group. Had no idea it existed, and so we linked them, put them on there. But anytime scholarships come up, Young Ham of the Year award, the new Yoda contest for this year, all those things, anything that has to do with youth getting on the air, we try to put it on the website and on our Twitter feed. So make sure you check out youthontheair.org. All the camp information is there. If you want to sign up for that and apply, just go to youthontheair.org/camps, and you'll see a great big link there to, I think Josh had it up here earlier, to apply now, and you just fill out the application. I think Josh was showing that off too. And it's a pretty easy application to fill out. It's mostly contact information and just a little background about your experiences in ham radio. And of course, if you'd like to donate, we do have different ways to donate. We do have some great sponsors that are making a lot of this stuff happen. Icom's back in again to bring all the Icom gear, and WWROF is back in. We're working on finalizing a couple of others. But there's also, if you want to donate something small, donate yourself. You can donate by PayPal or Venmo, but there's also a wish list on Amazon. If you go to the donate button, there's a wish list on Amazon. And every once in a while, I get this Amazon package out from nowhere, and I'm like, "What is this? Who's this from?" And it's one of the things that we're needing to order for camp. So if there are supplies that we know we're going to need, if you don't want to donate money, you can donate, some BNC connectors just showed up today. So, there are some things there, some tools and wire and paracord and all these kinds of things. So, check that out if you can help out, and make sure you listen for W8Y on the air. June 12th through 17th is when the camp will be this year.
Perfect. I just have to say, you have a huge fan base here in the chat room. So if you didn't already have a great ego, I just want to give you some of these compliments. AA6JA. I mean, nobody knows who John Amadeo is, right? He says, thanks to Neil for what he does for the kids and ham radio in general. Thank you, John, for popping in and saying that.
Thanks,
we
John.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks,
John Cotner, I'm a huge fan of Yoda and the Radio Merit Badge. We need to get as many of the youth on the air as possible to keep this hobby alive! ! Well said. Steve Goodgame, who was on here 2 weeks ago, he's obviously a huge bro fan, because he's like, amen, Neil, we've got to engage them. And Steve knows what this takes to keep youth involved. And thanks to Steve for everything you do. And if I'm missing any compliments, it's because there's a lot of them. But they all appreciate what you do, Neil. So you're not doing it in vain, that's for sure. So keep up the good work, and come back to us anytime you got some great news or anything interesting to let us know about what's going on in the youth arena. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, will do. Like I said, probably the next big thing will be the process of selecting the 2023 location. So we'll get that out and be working on that, and just trying to get these kids prepared so that they can continue this program for years and years to come.
Absolutely,
so
forever.
That's the plan.
And Ed wants to know, will the kids be on a POTA activation?
POTA is not on our list this year. It was one of the suggestions, and so it's like the next thing on the list to do. We actually don't spend a whole lot of time making contacts.
Too much to learn, man.
There's so much to learn that ironically we don't spend a whole lot of time making contacts. We make contacts during the break times, and we do have an evening that we kind of dedicate to, so that we do get some on-air time, and then later in the week we get some satellite time, but those are 10 minutes and they go away. So ironically we're not on the air as much as everybody thought. They'll be on the air every day, all day, and no, it doesn't work that way. We've got too much to do.
It's understandable.
But we will be on. It's just we're not on 24/7. So so yeah, we're not doing the POTA, but that's on the list. We have a youth that is all about POTA, and she wants to do it. So it's on the list to do, but not this year.
All right. Well, thanks, Neil, for joining us. We appreciate it. We've already gone really long, so we got to get to and hugs to Julie over there as well. We got to go to Joe. Joe, what do you think about these kids?
Hi, Joe.
Well, you know what? I'm glad to help. Last year, I made 3D printed call sign emblems for the stations. And this year, each one of his campers is going to get one of these kits. And what it is it's a simple straight key kit that I make the parts out of 3D printing, and all the hardware and cable and everything is in these. And that's what they're going to put together. So fun kits to build. They will have a key that they get to take home. So let's see here. And by the way, you can see over my shoulder, we got a new cat in the hat in the background.
Nice.
Because we got to remind people that Dayton is actually coming up. And really look forward to it. This year, I'm not flying, which is unusual. I am going to drive this year. I get 50 to 55 to the gallon, plus it's a plug-in hybrid. So it'll be fun. All right. Let's catch up on a few things since I haven't been here in a while. And we'll go like this. And I will bet that you can see my screen. There we go. What we're looking at here is every year I update the construction techniques chapter for the ARL handbook. And the 100th anniversary handbook is going to be coming out this fall. And so what you're looking at is something that I did for the handbook, took some pictures of it. It is a solderless breadboard. And so I totally updated. They only had like 2 paragraphs on it, and I did like a whole page on these things and how to use solderless breadboards. So that's the picture I used of one, and put it in a white background and stuff so it would work good for the handbook. So let's see here. For the April edition of CQ, I put together the Pentec TR35. And what this is it's a 4-band CW transceiver. And it has a lot of features in it, like different bandwidths on receive. In fact, it goes wide enough you can hear single sideband because the DDS synthesizer goes quite a ways through the whole bands and then some. And it operates on 40, 30, 20, and 17 meters. So this is a great rig to go out in the field. But if you look at what it comes with, you're going to notice that there are long strips of material. Now, this has 2 boards that you're going to assemble on. You see lots of surface mount parts. Guess what? You don't have to do those. They are already done for you. In fact, the tuned parts in the lower right of the one board, the lower board, are pre-assembled and pre-tuned before the board is shipped. But you have lots of through-hole parts you're going to put together. And what they do is they supply the parts in strips. And the way it works is, as you follow the steps, you just cut open each little pouch in that strip because they are separated, heat sealed. And you cut open that little pouch, and it might have a handful of parts. And those are the ones to be installed on that step. So instead of having to take the time to inventory and sort all your parts like I recommend, you don't have to do it with this kit. All you got to do is have a scissors, and you just open up each little segment one at a time, and you assemble the parts. It's an absolutely great deal, and this is the second of their kits of this nature that I've put together, and it works very, very well. We'll take another close-up look. These are the toroids, and guess what? You don't have to wind them. Yes.
Oh, man.
They're already done, including a bifilar, and all you do is pretty much plug and play, but make sure that you're cutting them off in order from top to bottom so you get the right ones when they're needed. And they are spaced and tuned and everything, and all you do is basically stuff them on the board and solder them. So the toroids go on just as fast as putting a resistor or capacitor on the board. You can't get them wrong because they're all tuned and ready to go. But you still have to solder them, so make sure you're up on your soldering. This is a look at one of the boards. This is the lower board, and you can see that I've put the through-hole parts on, including the final. And you see that 1, 2, 3, 4. What that is a 4-pole crystal filter. And so it has very good selectivity. Doesn't have a lot of hollow ringing sound or anything like that you would normally think. It really sounds good, really, really selective, and a fun receiver as well as transceiver to use. They also pre-soldered the BNC, and I understand why they did that, because most people's soldering irons don't get quite hot enough to do that. And so that is assembled too. But you can see all these parts like that relay, all those toroids have to be soldered, lots of capacitors and so forth. And once again, like I said, you're going to do that step by step. And all you're going to do is open one pouch at a time, going from top to bottom on those strips of parts. Makes this a very unique kit where you don't have to sort them out. We'll take a look at the top board, and you can see that there is a color OLED display. It's about 1 inch. And you can see the control switches and the pots and buttons and the controller. I just don't have the CPU chip installed at this point of the construction, but you can see each board has a lot of parts you're going to have to assemble. But like I said, you're not going to have to worry about those tiny surface mount parts. Now, when you look at it from the side, you're going to see that one of those pots is upside down, and you got to follow the instructions real carefully, because a couple of the pots are marked that they go upside down. And the reason they do is you can see when you put it together like a sandwich, that goes right in between the other two. And so it makes it easy to adjust.
Joe, what's the kit called again? There's some questions in the chat.
This is called the Pentec TR-35. And you'll find it at WA3RNC. That's Whiskey Alpha 3 Romeo November Charlie.com. And that's where you will find this kit. And like I said, really, really fun kit to put together. Now, this is where the boards are sandwiched together so that you can start testing before you put it in the case. This is what it looks like when it's all pretty much done and it's sitting in the case waiting for the lid. Not me. I'm not that much of a lid, but all right. You can see the CPU chip is in and so forth, and everything is ready to go. And when you put the cover on it, this time I lit it up, and you can see the colored digital display. It has RIT. It has variable tuning steps. Makes like I said, a great field radio. It puts out 5 watts is what he guarantees, but I'm getting about 6 or 7 out of it. So it's definitely a full QRP gallon, and it does run on 12 volts. And it comes with the plugs and jacks that you need to connect it to a power supply. In this case, though, I have it hooked up to my test supply. The case I put it in, you can get that case for, I think, about $15 at Harbor Freight. And you'll notice what I put in there, one of my famous CW key kits. I assembled one. So it sits in the case, and there's the cables and adapters and a little set of earbuds and a pen and a notepad. And why do we have that? Because you got to have something to copy the CW and a page to log in. And so whenever I go to an ag show or a state fair or something like that, there's always people giving away them little notepads, especially seed corn companies and things like that. And so I always grab a handful of those because they're great for these portable Go kits. And so in this one little box, I've got everything I need except for the battery and the antenna, but I have the adapter and everything else. So let's take a look at Hamcation. And I know Jim's a photographer. I am too. I enter my best photos every year in the state fair. This was done with a Canon pocket camera. It's not a full SLR or anything, but it has a really good zoom lens on it. I was quite a ways away to get a shot like this, believe it or not. Went to SeaWorld this year, and that's something fun to do because Hamcation is just that. It is ham radio and a vacation, so it's a good chance to see things in Orlando. And yes, turning up the shutter speed a bit, I was able to capture that, where you got 4 dolphins in the air at the same time. And quite a spectacle. So if you like to see dolphins and killer whales, This is another tough shot that I got from a long ways away, and sped up the shutter speed to make sure to catch that. And you can just see that big killer whale way up like 10 feet or more in the air. Just amazing how they can do that.
It is amazing.
But at the Hamfest, everybody says, well, are there any kits? Well, yes, there was. VAKits.com, which is Nightfire kits, was there. And they had a ton of kits. And a lot of them were $10, $11, $12, $13. These are very affordable beginners kits. And I highly recommend them. Very good quality. And we'll take another look at some. These are their Arduino kits, and these were only like $12 or $13. But definitely worthwhile. This particular booth was in the Swaps building, and so you had to kind of make your way over to Swaps to find them.
I went there three times and I didn't see him, so I totally spaced on that one. I'm bummed now. I'm really bummed.
Well, you're going to have to ask me, and I will take you to their booth next time.
Next time, for sure.
Now, this kit is a new one that's put out by the 4-State QRP group. And the 4-State QRP group is famous for the annual Ozarkon, which this year will be in person. We missed 2 years of it, and it will be in person this year. It is in Branson, Missouri, which is a town that has more live theater seats than Las Vegas. And lots of shows, even day shows, morning shows, night shows, lots of music and comedy and so forth to see in Branson, Missouri. And so it's a fun place to go. And kind of the way they raise money for this is putting out kits. And this particular one was designed originally by NM0S, David Kripe from Cedar Rapids. Who is a Collins Aerospace engineer. And this one was the fourth kit in the series. We have 80, 40, and 30 meters. This is the 20-meter version. And Virginia Smith, NV5F, was behind the redesign of this kit so it will work on 20 meters. It is a crystal-controlled CW transceiver. And as you notice, if you look on the board, there are 3, looks like spiral wound things in the board. And what those are your inductors. So guess what? You don't have to wind toroids. They are part of the main board. And the straight key is part of the kit as well. And I'll show you one of the other band versions of that. And then pretty soon I'll have this one completed. I have not completed it yet. It runs on a single 9-volt transistor battery, and most of these put out right about 1 watt of CW. And the receiver is pretty sensitive as well. We'll take a look here. And the first thing you're going to do on this kit is put the battery tabs on the board. And one thing I do that not always people do, and I want to recommend this, is whenever you're putting a connector like this on a board, especially a 9-volt battery tab, where you got to put some force to the battery to snap it in place and pull it out, you'll notice that the holes are big enough that solder can go on both sides. And so I make sure that the solder flows through to both sides, because that makes a much, much better physical connection to the board. So we heat up that solder real good. Sometimes if I have to, I'll add a little solder on the top side of the board to make sure that there is a good physical connection between that connector and the board. The thing you got to be careful of is that I use a cookie sheet when I'm doing this, and you have to use a 9-volt battery to act as kind of a brace to hold them straight and at the right spacing, because the holes have a bit of play in it. And so what I do is we snap the battery on it, but then I put some papers underneath it so that it doesn't short the battery on the cookie sheet. And then I solder it in place and then remove the battery, and then I can touch up the connections on it. This is what it looks like when you're starting to install the resistors and a choke that is on the board. And so once again, in that picture, you can also see those wonderful coils that are already wound for you and part of the circuit board. And this is what it looks like from the top. It's still not completed at this point, but I will have some pictures very shortly of what the kit looks like when it's all done, and maybe I'll have a recording of listening to some CW signals on 20 meters with it. Neat part about this is I can hook it to my 20-meter beam, and antennas do help. And it's just amazing what this kit is able to do. And I use RBN, which is the reverse beacon network, so I can call CQ on it. And even if nobody answers, I can look online to see if any of the RBN receivers heard me, and we can see where our signal is being received. And that is the end of my photos for this month. And I hope to be on in a couple of weeks, and we'll show some more kits and have some more fun. But looks like I'm going to get to do my first soda activation. I've never done this before, and so I'm going to Branson an extra day or so early, and I'm going with some friends from Kansas who are real big soda operators, and they've got me on their website so I can listen for soda activations on CW and sideband at home and answer them and get used to how the process works, so I can actually go to these mountaintops with them in the Ozarks and make some contacts in the Branson area.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm ashamed to say that I live in a state where sodas are everywhere all the time, and I ain't never done one.
You literally.
Well, we don't have many in Nebraska, especially eastern Nebraska.
Outside of California, Amanda might be in the most soda country. You got the soda goat up there. You could just contact him, and he'll take you out. Oh my gosh, you're like with soda royalty. He'll take. Oh my goodness, I would be with Steve all the time.
To his club. I'm afraid he'd kick my ass, you guys.
Oh, he'll cook. You gotta keep up with Steve, man.
And he'd bring out his KX3 and be like, "Here, you do the antenna. I'll get this." And I think he'd kill me, to be honest.
You have to have the goat carry your pack up the mountain, possibly.
Peanut, no, rest in peace, Peanut.
Yes, and somebody mentioned in the chat room, Gary and Martha, that I'm going with. Yes, they're the one teaching me how to do this, and it's going to be a lot of fun because I'll take a variety of these different kit radios that I've shown on this program over the years, and we'll see what they do in soda conditions. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. All right. We have gone so long tonight, you guys. Okay. I'm going to mention the nets and then just a couple of reminders of things. 14,280 now. We've moved it daylight savings time. So maybe the last time ever, according to Congress. But sorry.
Hope I get that hour back. Leave my hours alone.
I want my hour back too. 14,280 on 20 meters, 71.95 for 40, 14 Charlie for D-Star, and DMR is on 31,012. Real quick shout out to Amateur Logic TV having their 100th sound check net last night. And this started during pandemic era, and they've just kept it going, and it's been really fun to be part of the net control system there. And it's like a bazillion modes, even the new M17 and things like that. So it's a way to stretch out your legs to see everything you can check in with. P25, D-Star, obviously, everything. So it's been fun. And it's not going to end. Other than that, I don't think I have any more announcements. If I do, I'm forgetting them. So it's just late.
Let's do a quick round the room because we are a little long. Joe, anything you want to mention?
Nope. Just look forward to seeing people at the upcoming ham fests that are in the region here, and then especially at Dayton when I make the trek. And by request, I think I'm going to turn APRS on for the 780 miles.
Good for you.
So,
That'll be
so
fun.
We'll see.
Yeah, very good. Gordo, anything you want to hit up, go for it.
Hey, APRS is fun. We'll be watching, Joe. No further traffic. See you all in, not in 2 weeks, but probably a little longer, in that I'm out 2 weeks from tonight. So I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Gordo. Appreciate it. Amanda, anything you want to mention again just before we...
Yep. Just one other thing. This is crazy because we think of this as twice a month, but our next episode is going to actually be March 30th. So there's 3 this month, like your extra paycheck. I think we're going to make it the Dayton special. So we just want to bring in everyone that's going to Dayton again this year. And we'll have Mike Walter, and talk about why you should be going to Dayton. So stay tuned for that.
I have 2 things.
I'll be there for March 30th. I'm good for that one.
And I will too. I'll be here for the 30th.
Maybe it'll be a huge room. We'll get Randy back. We'll get everybody in here. And then
maybe Val.
Packed.
Maybe Val will tell us
Val
that she's going. And
So I got 2 things. I have my Radio Merit Badge book right here. This is the updated one. I was at the Scout store with my kids, and they were getting their Cub Scout stuff, and I was like, I want to check out the Radio Merit Badge. And as a retired Scout, the first thing you do as a Boy Scout is you open up to the second page, and that's where the requirements are. There's actually some pretty cool stuff in here. If you want to give yourself a little challenge as an adult, go pick one of these up. They're still valuable and useful. A good little reference and a fun little challenge if you want to see if you could pass the Radio Merit Badge. Also,
I couldn't pass the technician test now.
You could do it. Also, I want to give a shout out, and the link will be in the description. It's not right now, but it will be there when this goes live. Amanda, Peak Printing Incorporated, does QSL cards. Our Amanda, she will make you your QSL cards, and my new QSL cards for my QSL cards, which I'll pull me up here. There's my that green screen. Whoo, buddy. But Amanda is the one that did my QSL cards. They're beautiful. You do a great job, Amanda.
I do a good job.
She printed mine
I
as
love
well.
the humility, Amanda. That was... They are beautiful, though. They are. They really are.
Everything is custom. So you guys and gals, you just throw me some pictures and you say, these are my club affiliations. And I throw it all together and make everything beautiful. It's really fantastic. Of course, Joe got his drawing done by Ginny, I think it was. So...
And I will challenge you that you probably can't find cheaper QSL cards in the end for what you're doing.
Actually,
I don't know.
We actually have to raise our prices like 10%, and that is actually nothing.
That's still nothing. Yeah,
we are really pretty affordable.
Trust me, for the people that are interested in QSL cards, you should consider Amanda. At least email her and ask.
Thank you.
So. Deserves it. Definitely deserves it. Okay, we are super long. We got to get out of here because this is almost 2 hours. This is 500th episode competing length here. So thank you, everyone, for watching. We really do appreciate it. We love doing this, and the fact you watch, we really do appreciate it. So if you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll talk to you later. 73.
73, everybody. Thanks.
73s.
Great guests. Great content.
Awesome.
Y'all.
Thank you.
Now I have to go. My husband's watching every Doomsday movie there is. So we're at the. Red Dawn was 2 weeks ago.
Is this just because of what's going on in the Europe?
Yeah. So, but the other thing is that we actually own all of these movies on DVD. So it was obviously a thing before then. Well, so now it's the day after is what he's watching.
So for everybody that's hearing our banter right now, the chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. 73. See ya.